Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the battle in your mind, because that's where the war is fought, and for many, where it's lost. Negative thinking isn't just an abstract enemy. It's a subtle, persistent predator. It creeps into your thoughts and convinces you that you're powerless, that you're doomed, and that nothing will ever change. If left unchecked, it will devour your potential and strip you of your ability to thrive. You might think negative thinking is just being realistic. No, it's self-sabotage disguised as pragmatism. When you let those thoughts dictate your reality, you stop looking for solutions, you stop striving, you stop taking responsibility for the one thing you can control. Negative thinking thrives in disorder, in chaos. When you don't have a clear aim, a structure, or a direction, your mind becomes fertile ground for fear, doubt, and despair. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how negative thoughts multiply when your life is unorganized? That's no coincidence. Chaos amplifies negativity, and discipline destroys it. The solution isn't to deny that life is full of challenges. It's to face them with courage. It's to create order in your life. Set goals, even if they're small. Focus on what you can do today to make tomorrow better. Break the pattern of allowing destructive narratives to control you. Recognize the stories you tell yourself and rewrite them. The truth is, life is hard. You already know that. But here's the twist. What makes life bearable, meaningful even, is voluntarily shouldering the burden of existence. It's embracing the struggle and transforming it into something valuable. When you focus on action and purpose, negative thinking shrinks in the shadow of progress. You are far more capable than your negative thoughts would have you believe. But the first step to killing negativity is to stop feeding it, stop ruminating, stop indulging in the stories that tell you you're not enough. Build routines, take small, meaningful actions, and remember, every time you choose discipline over despair, you weaken negativity's grip on your mind. Negative thinking is a force that doesn't announce itself boldly. It operates quietly, subtly, and persistently, like a predator stalking its prey. It doesn't appear in the form of a sudden, overwhelming event, but rather seeps into your thoughts slowly, often without you noticing it. A fleeting worry turns into persistent doubt. A momentary failure becomes a lifelong label you impose on yourself. And before you know it, your entire mindset is infected by a pattern of negativity. I'll say this predator is not an external force. It's internal. It lives within your thoughts, feeding on your insecurities, fears, and vulnerabilities. It begins with small, seemingly harmless thoughts. You tell yourself, I'm not good enough to do that, or this will never work out for me. These thoughts don't seem dangerous at first glance, but they lay the foundation for something much larger. They grow roots in your mind, sinking deeper and deeper until they start influencing your behavior and choices. Once they've taken hold, negative thinking begins to dictate how you see the world, how you see others, and most importantly, how you see yourself. A predator doesn't just attack randomly, it's strategic, it strikes when you're weakest. Negative thinking works the same way. It thrives in moments of uncertainty, fear, and chaos. When you're overwhelmed or lacking clarity, it seizes the opportunity to amplify your self-doubt. For example, if you're faced with a major challenge, maybe a project at work, a relationship issue, or a personal setback, negative thinking will whisper, "You're going to fail. Why even try?" And because you're already feeling vulnerable, it's easy to believe those whispers. What makes negative thinking so dangerous is that it's self-perpetuating. It creates a cycle. The more you give into it, the stronger it becomes. If you believe you're incapable, you're less likely to take risks. If you don't take risks, you don't grow or achieve your goals. And when you don't achieve your goals, it reinforces the idea that you're incapable. This cycle can become so deeply ingrained that it feels impossible to break. It's like a predator that doesn't just attack, it cages its prey, trapping you in a loop of despair and helplessness. But what makes this even more insidious is how negative thinking distorts your perception. It doesn't just affect how you see yourself, it affects how you interpret the world around you. You begin to see problems where there are none, or you magnify small setbacks into catastrophic failures. You focus only on the negatives in any situation, ignoring the positives. This distortion feeds the predator, giving it even more power over you. One of the most dangerous aspects of negative thinking is its ability to make you passive. When you believe the worst about yourself or your circumstances, you stop trying. Why would you put effort into something if you're convinced it's doomed to fail? This passivity is what the predator wants. It thrives on your inaction. The less you do, the more room it has to grow, spreading its influence over every aspect of your life. Negative thinking also has a way of isolating you. It convinces you that you're the only one struggling, that no one else understands, and that asking for help is a sign of weakness. This isolation makes you an easier target, cutting you off from the support and encouragement that could help you break free. Understanding negative thinking as a predator changes the way you approach it. It's not just an inconvenience or a passing mood, it's a serious threat to your well-being and potential. It has a strategy and it wants to control you. Recognizing this gives you the first glimpse of power over it. Because just as a predator relies on its prey, being unaware, negative thinking relies on you not noticing its presence. The greatest harm to anyone? Negative thinking is deceptive. It rarely arrives in your mind with bold, dramatic declarations of despair. Instead, it sneaks in wearing the mask of realism, presenting itself as logical, practical, or even wise. It convinces you that it's not negativity, but the truth. And you believe it because it feels like you're just being honest with yourself. This is how it gains its foothold, by disguising itself as a rational response to the challenges you face. It often starts with a small thought, something that seems harmless or even prudent. I'm not sure if I can handle this, or what if this doesn't work out? These thoughts feel grounded in reality, and they appeal to the part of your mind that wants to plan and protect itself. But instead of leading you toward productive solutions, these thoughts can spiral into something far more destructive. I'm not sure if I can handle this becomes, I'm probably not capable, which then turns into, I always fail when it matters. What started as a moment of doubt becomes an overarching belief about your abilities, locking you into a cycle of self. What makes this process so dangerous is how convincing it is. Negative thinking doesn't shout at you, it whispers. And its whispers sound reasonable. It tells you that you're just being cautious, that you're protecting yourself from disappointment, or that you're preparing for the worst. But what it's really doing is keeping you trapped. It's not realism, it's paralysis. By focusing only on what could go wrong, you stop yourself from seeing what could go right. The disguise of realism also allows negative thinking to bypass your defenses. If someone came up to you and said, "You're incapable and unworthy," you would likely push back against that idea. But when the thought originates within your own mind, and when it comes dressed as logic, it's harder to resist. You don't question it, because it feels like it's coming from a rational place. But rationality without balance becomes a weapon against you, one that cuts down your motivation and confidence instead of fostering growth. Another way negative thinking disguises itself is through comparison. You look at others who seem more successful, more talented, or more confident, and you tell yourself, "I'm just being realistic. I'll never be as good as them." This kind of thinking feels like a humble acknowledgement of your limitations, but in reality, it's a distorted narrative. It blinds you to your own unique strengths and potential, keeping you stuck in a loop of self-doubt and envy. What you don't see is that the people you compare yourself to are likely struggling with their own insecurities. Negative thinking doesn't let you consider that possibility because its goal is to keep you feeling small and inadequate. Negative thinking also disguises itself as self-protection. It convinces you that by expecting the worst, you're shielding yourself from disappointment. But this mindset doesn't protect you, it imprisons you. When you anticipate failure or rejection at every turn, you become hesitant to take risks or pursue opportunities. You shrink your world to avoid pain, but in doing so, you also avoid growth, success, and fulfillment. This false sense of safety keeps you locked in a state of stagnation, where the fear of what might go wrong outweighs the excitement of what could go right. The subtlety of negative thinking is what makes it so effective. It doesn't confront you head on. It sneaks into your thoughts and hides behind the guise of realism, caution, or humility. It feels like it's helping you when, in reality, it's holding you back. It blinds you to possibilities, narrows your perspective, and keeps you focused on everything that could go wrong instead of what you could achieve. Recognizing this deception is the first step in breaking free from its grip. Negative thinking thrives in chaos. It finds its strength in disorder, uncertainty, and the absence of clear direction. When your life lacks structure, your mind becomes fertile ground for negativity to take root and flourish. Chaos amplifies the voices of doubt, fear, and insecurity because in the absence of order, your mind instinctively searches for patterns and explanations, often defaulting to the most pessimistic interpretations. This isn't because you're inherently negative, but because your brain is wired to focus on potential threats in an attempt to protect you. Unfortunately, when left unchecked, this tendency can spiral into destructive thought patterns. Think about moments in your life when you've felt overwhelmed. Maybe you were juggling too many responsibilities, facing uncertainty about the future, or dealing with a messy environment, physically or emotionally. In those moments, how easy was it for negative thoughts to creep in? You likely found yourself questioning your abilities, doubting your decisions, or fearing the worst. That's not a coincidence. Chaos feeds negativity because it creates a sense of instability. When you don't have a clear sense of control, your mind becomes vulnerable to the whispers of self-doubt and defeat. Chaos isn't just about external circumstances, like a cluttered home or an overbooked schedule. It's also about internal disarray, the lack of clarity in your goals, priorities, and values. When you don't have a clear direction in life, it's easy to feel lost. And when you feel lost, negative thinking becomes the compass you rely on, even though it points you in the wrong direction. Life without a clear aim, your mind fixates on worst-case scenarios and amplifies your insecurities because it doesn't know where else to focus its energy. This is why structure and discipline are so important. They serve as counterweights to the chaos that fuels negative thinking. When your environment and routine are organized, your mind has less room to dwell on negativity. For example, consider how much better you feel after tidying up a cluttered space or completing a task you've been procrastinating on. These small acts of order have a ripple effect, calming your mind and giving you a sense of control. They might not solve all your problems, but they create a foundation of stability that makes it harder for negativity to take hold. The same principle applies to your internal life. Setting clear goals and priorities gives your mind something constructive to focus on, which leaves less room for negative thoughts. When you know what you're working toward, you can frame challenges as steps on the path to your goal instead of as insurmountable obstacles. Clarity transforms the way you interpret setbacks. Instead of seeing them as proof of your inadequacy, you see them as opportunities to learn and grow. Another way chaos fuels negative thinking is through indecision. When you're surrounded by disorder, whether it's in your schedule, your relationships, or your mindset, it's harder to make decisions. You second-guess yourself, overanalyze every option, and become paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice. This indecision creates a feedback loop. The more you hesitate, the more you doubt yourself, and the more negative your thinking becomes. Clarity and structure break this cycle by giving you the confidence to act decisively. Chaos also creates emotional turbulence, which makes you more susceptible to negative thinking. When your life feels out of control, your emotions can swing wildly, pulling you into cycles of anxiety, frustration, or despair. These emotional states create fertile ground for negative thoughts to multiply. For instance, if you're feeling overwhelmed by a chaotic situation, you might start thinking, "I can't handle this," or "things will never get better." These thoughts are not reflections of reality. They're the byproducts of chaos clouding your judgment. One of the most insidious ways chaos fuels negativity is by making you feel powerless. When everything around you feels disorganized or uncertain, it's easy to believe that you have no control over your circumstances. This belief is a breeding ground for negative thinking because it reinforces a sense of helplessness. You start to see yourself as a victim of your environment, which makes it even harder to take action and create the order you need to combat negativity. The connection between chaos and negative thinking is undeniable. Without structure, your mind is left to wander, often into dark and unproductive places. Chaos doesn't just create opportunities for negativity to thrive, it actively amplifies it, turning small doubts into major fears and minor setbacks into overwhelming obstacles. Recognizing this dynamic is crucial because it means that by introducing even small elements of order and clarity into your life, you can start to weaken negativity's grip and reclaim your mental space. Discipline is the antidote to negative thinking. It's the tool that dismantles the power negativity holds over your mind by creating structure, purpose, and forward momentum. Without discipline, you're at the mercy of your thoughts, which often gravitate toward fear, doubt, and insecurity when left unchecked. Discipline gives you control. It anchors your mind and directs your energy toward meaningful action. When you cultivate discipline, you don't just combat negativity, you replace it with focus, progress, and confidence. Negative thinking thrives on unpredictability and lack of structure. When your days are unorganized, your goals are unclear, or your habits are inconsistent, your mind naturally drifts toward worry and self-doubt. This is because your brain, when untethered, seeks to fill the gaps in your life with assumptions, often negative ones. Discipline, however, provides a clear framework for your thoughts. When you establish routines and stick to them, you reduce the mental clutter that gives negativity room to grow. Instead of spinning your wheels over everything that could go wrong, you're too busy focusing on the actions you need to take. The power of discipline lies in its ability to create momentum. Negative thinking often paralyzes you, making even small tasks seem overwhelming. This paralysis creates a vicious cycle. The longer you wait to act, the more anxious and doubtful you become, which makes it even harder to start. Discipline breaks this cycle by forcing you to take action even when you don't feel like it. When you push through that initial resistance and complete a task, no matter how small, you gain a sense of accomplishment. That sense of accomplishment builds momentum, which in turn weakens negativity's hold. Discipline also forces you to prioritize what truly matters. Negative thinking thrives on distraction. It wants you to focus on everything that's out of your control or every possible worst-case scenario. Discipline, however, requires you to be intentional with your time and energy. When you create a plan for your day, set specific goals, or establish healthy habits, you leave little room for negativity to hijack your thoughts. Your focus shifts from "what if I fail" to "what's the next step I need to take?" This shift in focus is transformative because it redirects your mental energy towards solutions rather than problems. Another reason discipline destroys negativity is that it builds resilience. When you consistently show up for yourself, whether through exercise, work, learning, or personal growth, you prove to your mind that you're capable of handling challenges. This resilience acts as a buffer against negative thinking because it gives you evidence of your competence. For example, if you've developed a habit of exercising regularly, you'll know that you can push through discomfort and stay committed to a goal. When negative thoughts arise, telling you that you're not strong enough or disciplined enough, you'll have real, tangible proof to refute them. Discipline also fosters self-respect. Negative thinking often thrives in the absence of self-worth. When you don't believe in your own value, it's easy to give in to thoughts that tell you you're not good enough or that you don't deserve success. Discipline counters this by showing you that you are capable of growth and self-mastery. Every time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, whether it's waking up early, completing a project, or sticking to a habit, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who can be trusted. This trust in yourself weakens the power of negativity, replacing it with confidence and self-esteem. One of the most important aspects of discipline is its ability to keep you grounded in reality. Negative thinking often distorts your perception, making challenges seem larger than they are, or convincing you that failure is inevitable. Discipline, on the other hand, focuses your attention on what's real and actionable. It doesn't allow you to dwell on hypothetical fears or exaggerated doubts because it forces you to engage with the present moment. For example, if you've set a disciplined routine of writing for an hour every day, you're too focused on meeting that daily goal to ruminate on whether your work is good enough. By staying grounded in action, you rob negativity of the time and space it needs to grow. Discipline is a form of self-empowerment. It reminds you that you have control over your actions, even if you don't have control over your circumstances. This sense of agency is one of the most effective weapons against negative thinking. When you choose discipline over indulgence, procrastination, or avoidance, you take back control of your mind. You prove to yourself that you're not a victim of your thoughts, but the master of them. Every act of discipline, no matter how small, chips away at the foundation of negativity, replacing it with strength, clarity, and purpose. Action is the ultimate weapon against negative thinking. While negative thoughts thrive in hesitation and inaction, taking even the smallest step forward begins to dismantle their grip on your mind. Action is not about waiting until you feel ready or confident. It's about doing something despite the presence of doubt and fear. The truth is, the mind often catches up to the body. Commit to this truth in the new year. When you take action, you signal to yourself that progress is possible. And this disrupts the cycle of negativity that feeds on stagnation. Negative thinking loves inaction because stillness gives it space to grow. When you sit with your doubts, fears, and insecurities without challenging them, they magnify. A single thought like, "What if I'm not good enough?" can snowball into an overwhelming narrative of inadequacy, but the moment you act, even in a small way, you interrupt this process. Action shifts your focus from internal rumination to external engagement, redirecting your energy towards something constructive. It's not about solving everything at once, but about breaking the cycle of overthinking that allows negativity to fester. Consider how easy it is to get caught in the trap of analysis paralysis. You overanalyze every possible outcome, worry about what could go wrong, and hesitate to make a decision because you're afraid of failing. Negative thinking thrives in this environment, convincing you that staying still is safer than moving forward, but in reality, inaction is what keeps you stuck. Taking action, on the other hand, forces you to face your fears and learn from experience. Even if the action doesn't lead to immediate success, it teaches you something valuable and builds resilience. Action doesn't need to be grand or dramatic to be effective. In fact, small, consistent steps are often more powerful than large, sporadic efforts. If you're overwhelmed by negative thoughts about a daunting task or goal, breaking it down into manageable pieces and tackling one at a time can make it feel less intimidating. For example, if you're plagued by the fear of failure in a project, start with a simple step, researching one aspect of it or setting aside 15 minutes to brainstorm ideas. These small victories create momentum, and momentum weakens negativity because it shifts your focus from "I can't" to "I'm doing." Another critical aspect of action is that it forces you to engage with reality. Negative thinking often thrives on hypothetical scenarios. What could go wrong, what others might think, or what might happen if you fail. These what-ifs are often exaggerated or completely unrealistic, but they feel real when you're stuck in your head. Taking action brings you back to the present moment, allowing you to test your assumptions against reality. You might discover that the thing you feared wasn't as bad as you imagined, or that you're more capable than you thought. Action also builds confidence over time. Confidence isn't something you magically feel before you start. It's something you develop through repeated action. Every time you face a challenge, take a step forward, and push through your doubts, you prove to yourself that you're capable. These moments of self-trust accumulate, creating a solid foundation of confidence that makes it harder for negativity to take root. You begin to see yourself as someone who can handle difficulties rather than someone who is defined by them. Importantly, action creates clarity. Negative thinking often clouds your judgment, making everything feel uncertain and overwhelming. When you act, even imperfectly, you gain new information that helps you make better decisions. For example, if you're worried about whether a particular career path is right for you, taking a small step, like reaching out to someone in the field or attending a related event, can provide insights that ease your doubts. Without action, you remain stuck in uncertainty, but with action, you gain perspective. The act of moving forward, no matter how small the step, also cultivates hope. Negative thinking thrives in an environment of despair, convincing you that things will never improve. Action, however, creates evidence to the contrary. It reminds you that change is possible, that you have the power to influence your circumstances, and that you are not as powerless as your negative thoughts would have you believe. Even when progress feels slow, the very act of trying is a declaration of hope. And hope is one of the strongest antidotes to negativity. Taking action doesn't mean the absence of fear or doubt. It means refusing to let those feelings dictate your choices. It's about moving forward despite the presence of negativity, proving to yourself that you are stronger than the thoughts that try to hold you back. Every step you take is a victory, no matter how small, because it reclaims your power and reminds you that you are in control of your own life. Your thoughts are not absolute truths, yet negative thinking often masquerades as if it is. It thrives on the illusion of authority, presenting itself as the definitive narrative about who you are and what you're capable of. This illusion is one of its greatest weapons because it discourages you from questioning or challenging it. But the reality is, your thoughts are interpretations, not facts, and they are shaped by your emotions, experiences, and perceptions. Once you learn to question the validity of your negative thoughts, you begin to dismantle their power over you. Negative thinking often takes the form of rigid, absolute statements. I always fail, I'll never be good enough, or nothing ever works out for me. These thoughts feel definitive, but they are rarely accurate. If you were to examine them closely, you'd find that they are riddled with exaggerations, distortions, and assumptions. For example, I always fail ignores the times you've succeeded, and nothing ever works out dismisses any evidence to the contrary. Negative thinking operates on a confirmation bias, focusing only on evidence that supports its narrative while ignoring everything else. To break its hold, you must challenge its validity by seeking a more balanced perspective. The first step in questioning negative thoughts is recognizing them for what they are, mental constructs, not objective truths. This requires mindfulness, developing an awareness of your internal dialogue and observing it without judgment. When a negative thought arises, pause and ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is it true? What evidence do I have to support or refute it? These questions disrupt the automatic nature of negative thinking and force you to engage with your thoughts more critically. Another way to challenge negative thoughts is to consider alternative explanations. Negative thinking often frames situations in the worst possible light, but there are usually multiple ways to interpret any given event. For instance, if you didn't perform well in a presentation, your negative thoughts might say, I'm terrible at public speaking. But an alternative perspective could be, I was nervous this time, but I can improve with practice. By actively seeking out more constructive interpretations, you weaken the hold of negativity and open yourself up to growth. It's also important to recognize the emotional underpinnings of negative thinking. Many of your negative thoughts are not based on objective reality, but are instead rooted in fear, insecurity, or past experiences. For example, if you grew up in an environment where criticism was common, you might internalize self-critical thoughts as a default response to challenges. Understanding the emotional origins of your negative thoughts helps you see them as conditioned responses rather than truths about who you are. This awareness gives you the power to break free from patterns that no longer serve you. Another effective strategy is to evaluate the consequences of your negative thinking. Ask yourself, what impact does this thought have on my mood, behavior, and decisions? Often you'll find that negative thoughts lead to feelings of hopelessness, hesitation, or self-sabotage. By identifying the harm these thoughts cause, you gain motivation to challenge them and replace them with more empowering alternatives. For example, if the thought I'm not good enough leads you to avoid opportunities, replacing it with I'm learning and improving every day can shift your mindset and encourage action. Journaling is a practical tool for challenging negative thoughts. Writing down your thoughts allows you to examine them objectively, almost as if they belong to someone else. When you see them on paper, their irrationality often becomes more apparent. You can then rewrite these thoughts in a more balanced and constructive way. For instance, instead of "I'll never succeed," you might write, "Success takes time and effort, and I'm committed to learning and growing." This process not only weakens negativity, but also reinforces a healthier, more optimistic mindset. A powerful way to challenge negative thinking is through self-compassion. Negative thoughts are often harsh and unforgiving, treating you as if you are the sum of your mistakes. But when you approach yourself with kindness and understanding, you create a mental environment where growth and positivity can flourish. Instead of berating yourself for a setback, you might say, "It's okay to struggle. Everyone does. What can I learn from this experience?" Self-compassion neutralizes the sting of negative thoughts and reminds you that you are worthy of patience and grace. The ultimate goal of questioning your negative thoughts is not to silence them entirely. That's neither realistic nor necessary. Instead, it's about creating distance between yourself and these thoughts, recognizing that they are not who you are. When you challenge the authority of negative thinking, you reclaim your mental space and redirect your energy toward building a narrative that aligns with your values, aspirations, and potential. The more you practice this skill, the more you'll find that negativity loses its grip, allowing you to move forward with clarity and confidence. The people you surround yourself with profoundly shape the way you think and feel. Negative thinking thrives in environments where negativity is normalized, reinforced, or unchecked. If the people around you are constantly complaining, criticizing, or indulging in pessimism, their mindset will inevitably influence yours. Human beings are social creatures, and we subconsciously absorb the attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors of those we spend the most time with. If you're surrounded by negativity, it becomes harder to challenge your own negative thoughts because they start to feel like the norm. But when you intentionally surround yourself with positive, uplifting individuals, they can serve as a powerful counterbalance, helping you cultivate a healthier, more constructive mindset. It's important to recognize how much influence your social circle has on your inner dialogue. Imagine being part of a group where negativity dominates every conversation. Someone complains about their job, another person shares their fears about the future, and yet another criticizes themselves or others. This atmosphere fosters a cycle of negativity, not because the people are malicious, but because negativity is contagious. When you're exposed to it constantly, it can feel natural to mirror that mindset. You might find yourself focusing more on what's wrong in your life, doubting your abilities, or adopting a more critical view of yourself and others. Conversely, being around positive and supportive people has the opposite effect. These individuals encourage you to see opportunities where others see obstacles. They focus on solutions rather than problems, celebrate progress instead of fixating on setbacks, and inspire you to aim higher and think bigger. Their positivity doesn't deny life's challenges. It reframes them. Instead of saying, "This is impossible," they ask, "How can we make this work?" This kind of mindset is infectious in the best way. It shows you that there are other ways to think, and it gives you permission to challenge the negativity in your own mind. Surrounding yourself with positive people doesn't mean you're avoiding difficult truths or ignoring genuine struggles. It means you're choosing to spend your time with individuals who inspire growth, resilience, and optimism. These people hold you accountable, not in a harsh or critical way, but by reminding you of your potential and encouraging you to live up to it. They don't let you stay stuck in a cycle of self-doubt or negativity because they see what you're capable of, even when you don't. Their belief in you can become a lifeline when you're struggling to believe in yourself. Another key aspect of surrounding yourself with the right people is that they provide perspective. Negative thinking often distorts reality, making small problems feel insurmountable or setbacks feel like personal failures. Positive people help you zoom out and see the bigger picture. They remind you that one bad day doesn't define your life, that mistakes are part of learning, and that challenges are temporary. Their perspective can act as a reality check, pulling you out of the tunnel vision that negativity creates and helping you approach situations with a clearer, more balanced mindset. It's also worth noting that positivity doesn't always mean unrelenting cheerfulness. True positivity is grounded in authenticity and empathy. The best people to surround yourself with are those who can acknowledge hardships while still maintaining hope and resilience. They don't sugarcoat reality, but they don't dwell on despair either. They help you process difficult emotions without letting you spiral into a cycle of negativity. These individuals model emotional strength and show you that it's possible to face life's challenges without being consumed by them. Sometimes surrounding yourself with positive people means making difficult decisions about your current relationships. If certain individuals in your life are consistently negative, unsupportive, or draining, it may be necessary to set boundaries or limit your time with them. This doesn't mean you have to cut people out of your life entirely, but it does mean prioritizing. Your mental health and well-being should take precedence over maintaining relationships that pull you into negativity. Actively seeking out positive influences also means being intentional about the environments you engage with beyond personal relationships. This could include joining groups or communities that share your values, following uplifting content on social media, or learning from mentors who inspire you. The more you expose yourself to positive influences, the more you reinforce a mindset that counters negativity and encourages growth. Ultimately, the people you surround yourself with act as mirrors, reflecting either the best or worst aspects of yourself. When you're surrounded by positivity, you're reminded of your potential, your resilience, and your capacity for growth. These individuals challenge you to rise above your doubts and fears, not through criticism, but through encouragement and support. Their influence can become a powerful force in your life, helping you silence negative thinking and focus on the opportunities and possibilities that lie ahead. Progress, no matter how small, is a powerful antidote to negative thinking. When you focus on making consistent advancements toward a goal or improvement, you shift your attention away from your doubts and fears and toward your potential and capabilities. Progress is proof that you're moving forward, even when the path feels challenging or uncertain. It doesn't have to be monumental to matter. Small steps compound over time, building momentum and fostering a sense of accomplishment that weakens the grip of negativity. By prioritizing progress over perfection, you allow yourself to grow, learn, and build confidence in a way that keeps negativity at bay. Negative thinking often stems from a feeling of being stuck, overwhelmed, or unable to move forward. When you're caught in this mindset, it's easy to focus on everything that's not working, magnifying your doubts and insecurities. Progress disrupts this cycle by creating evidence of forward motion. Even small achievements, like completing a task or overcoming a minor obstacle, show you that you're capable of change. This evidence counters the narratives of inadequacy and failure that negative thinking tries to reinforce, giving you tangible proof of your ability to make things happen. One of the key reasons progress is so effective against negativity is that it shifts your focus from outcomes to actions. Negative thinking often fixates on the end result, asking questions like, what if I fail? Or what if I'm not good enough? This focus on the unknown creates anxiety and discouragement, paralyzing you before you even begin. Progress, however, is rooted in the present moment. It's about taking one step at a time, regardless of how far away the finish line feels. When you focus on the next action instead of the entire journey, you reduce the mental clutter that negativity thrives on and make the process more manageable. Another important aspect of progress is that it builds momentum. Taking the first step is often the hardest because it requires you to overcome inertia and confront your fears. But once you've started, the act of moving forward becomes easier. Each small success fuels the next, creating a positive cycle of motivation and effort. Momentum is powerful because it keeps you focused on what's possible rather than what's holding you back. With each step, you create distance between yourself and the negativity that once seemed so overwhelming. Progress also fosters a growth mindset, the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and perseverance. Negative thinking often stems from a fixed mindset where you believe that your abilities are static and unchangeable. This leads to thoughts like, I'm just not good at this, or I'll never improve. Progress challenges these beliefs by showing you that improvement is possible, even if it's incremental. And every small step forward reinforces the idea that you can grow and adapt, which directly counters the rigidity of negative thinking. It's important to recognize that progress isn't always linear. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments where it feels like you're moving backward. Negative thinking loves to seize on these moments, using them as evidence that your efforts are futile. But progress isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Each setback is an opportunity to learn, adjust, and move forward with greater clarity. But by reframing setbacks as part of the journey rather than as failures, you protect yourself from the spiral of negativity that often accompanies them. Tracking your progress is another powerful way to combat negative thinking. When you're in the midst of challenges, it's easy to lose sight of how far you've come. Keeping a record of your achievements, no matter how small, gives you a tangible reminder of your growth. This could be as simple as journaling your daily wins, maintaining a checklist of completed tasks, or reflecting on how your skills or mindset have evolved over time. These records act as a counterweight to negative thoughts, reminding you that you're capable of progress and that your efforts are making a difference. Focusing on progress also shifts your self-perception. Negative thinking often paints a picture of you as someone who is incapable, stuck, or destined to fail. But every step forward challenges this narrative. With each bit of progress, you prove to yourself that you're someone who takes action, overcomes challenges, and works toward their goals. This shift in self-perception doesn't just combat negativity. It builds a foundation of confidence and self-trust that supports you in future challenges. Ultimately, progress is about movement, no matter how slow or small it may seem. It's the act of showing up for yourself, day after day, even when doubts and fears try to hold you back. Every small step forward is a victory over negative thinking because it demonstrates that you are capable of change, growth, and perseverance. Progress doesn't eliminate challenges or fears, but it does equip you with the mindset and momentum to face them head on, transforming negativity into resilience and possibility. In the battle against negative thinking, the most profound realization is that you hold the power to change your perspective and reclaim control over your mind. By recognizing the distortions in your thoughts, refusing to let fear dictate your actions, and choosing progress over perfection, you pave the way for growth and resilience. Surrounding yourself with positive influences, challenging the validity of self-limiting beliefs, and fostering an environment of intentionality all serve as powerful tools in dismantling negativity's grip. This journey isn't about eliminating negative thoughts entirely. That would be neither realistic nor necessary. Instead, it's about cultivating the awareness, discipline, and courage to challenge those thoughts when they arise. It's about replacing them with empowering beliefs that reflect your potential rather than your doubts. Every small step forward, every positive influence you embrace, and every action you take toward growth reinforces the truth that you are stronger than your fears, capable beyond your limitations, worthy of a life defined by possibility, not pessimism. Negative thinking thrives in silence and stagnation, but when you confront it with clarity, action, and determination, it begins to lose its power. By committing to this process, you take ownership of your narrative, transform challenges into opportunities, and build a foundation for a life filled with purpose, growth, and hope. The path may not always be easy, but it is always worth it, because the alternative is a life confined by the walls of negativity, and you are destined for so much more.